Hello everyone, welcome back my channel.
Exploring the New York Liberty's many paths to a title-defending roster. The first-time defending champs are fine-tuning their roster for sustainable success. When the New York Liberty were standing on the steps of City Hall to address their fans and receive their keys to the city back in October, there were two subsequent messages that came from the players, front office, and ownership. The entire organization was going to bask in what they had just accomplished, but after living in the moment, it would be time to get back to work. "We're not done yet, but we are going to appreciate the shit out of this moment for sure," Breanna Stewart said, stuffing both directives into one 18-word sentence. Since the celebrations died down, the Liberty's front office has been working to ensure the roster they put on the floor in 2025 won't just be in position to run it back after winning in 2024, but will also have the key ingredients to sustain that high-level play for seasons to come. There hasn't been a true New York sports dynasty since the New York Yankees of the late 90s through the early 2000s, and the Liberty have their sights on becoming the next one. For the Liberty to be able to position themselves for a run that lasts several seasons, they will need to find creative ways to improve a 2024 roster that already won a championship. That process begins with 2025's winter free agency period. The first step to any free agency season is to administer qualifying offers, QOs, which New York has already done. Stewart has been given a core QO, a negotiating tool that general managers typically use on star players to ensure exclusive negotiation rights. Liberty general manager Jonathan Kolb has also administered reserved QOs to Maureen Johannes, Rebecca Gardner, Ivana Dojic, and Jalen Sherrod. Reserved QOs are extended to players with 3 or fewer years of service and guarantee that a team can maintain their exclusive negotiation rights with that player. Both Sherrod and Gardner have already signed their QOs, so their training camp contracts won't count until opening day and will only count if they make the final roster. Howard Megdal, founder and editor of The Next and The Nine, just announced his latest book. It captures both the historic nature of Caitlin Clark's rise and the critical context over the previous century that helped make it possible. Interviews with Clark, Lisa Blutter, C. Vivian Stringer, Jan Jensen, Molly Kazmer, and so many others were vital to the process. If you enjoy his coverage of women's basketball every Wednesday at The Nine, you will love Becoming Caitlin Clark, the unknown origin story of a modern basketball superstar. Click the link below to pre-order and enter Megdal30 at checkout. But following the first administrative steps in any free agency period, success for the Liberty in free agency rests upon the front office taking big swings and being ready with an in-house plan B if they do strike out. If these risky moves are successful, it could result in the departure of franchise staple players. Don't expect the Liberty's big three of Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, or Jonquel Jones to be on the table in any potential trades. Although she has been cored, Stewart shows no signs of wanting out, and she made it clear that she and the Liberty aren't done yet. The youthful German duo of Leonie Fiebig and Nyara Sabali likely won't be on the table either. But could others? It's not certain, but don't rule it out. When the official negotiation period opens up on January 21st, New York is expected to talk to current unrestricted free agent Courtney Vandersloot about a return. New York will need to determine what role they could offer her following a postseason run where she became the first person coming off the bench in favor of Fiebig. It remains to be seen the full season vision Brondello and her staff would have for Vandersloot following the lineup change. A New York and Vandersloot reunion would be especially surprising after she explained during a January 7th media session for the 3x3 League Unrivaled that she's looking for the best situation that allows her to have the ball in her hands and create in the way that she believes she can. Meanwhile, Johannes prefers to return to New York according to a source familiar with the situation. But both she and her representation understand that a trade could be a possibility if the Liberty succeed in landing their top external targets. If New York strikes out, however, they can rely on players they have existing relationships with to fill roles. Particularly, they'll need to cover for the departure of Kayla Thornton, who was picked up by the Golden State Valkyries in their recent expansion draft. In an ideal world, New York would welcome back Kennedy Burke in a role similar to Thornton's. Burke quickly made an impression on the Liberty's coaching staff and built trust. With Brondello quicker than most who are new to her system and rotational philosophies. The Liberty's big swings for winter of 2025 are familiar faces, players that the team's front office has existing relationships with. Sada Sabaly has been in connection with the Liberty ever since the world got to see her making TikToks on a parade float with her sister Nyara. Sada followed the Liberty on their entire postseason run in support of her sister, and was even seated with the team's celebrity fans on the road during New York's semifinal series against the Aces. Back in December, Nyara was asked about the prospects of her sister joining her in New York. While Nyara noted she'll support her sister through whatever decisions she makes, she admitted to wanting to pitch her sister in some way come free agency. Did part of the pitch include both Nyara and Sada spending time with their other siblings in New York throughout the holidays? Nyara captioned an Instagram post with the humorous phrase, Sabalis und Co. machen New York unsicher, which generally translates to Sabalis and Company making New York uneasy in German. Following the new year, Sada was asked all about her free agency during a media availability for Unrivaled. She revealed she would be officially leaving the Dallas Wings and is going to work with Dallas to find her next home. Sada also was asked if she would like to play with her sister Nyara. Yeah, of course, in the future, I would love that, she said. Does the future mean years ahead or in a few months? A source familiar with Sada's thinking told The Next she definitely wants to be in New York if the Liberty have the money and salary cap space to make it work. Sada has expressed her preference to play in a big city like New York, which is also where she rehabbed the shoulder injury that kept her out of the first half of the 2024 WNBA season. After watching her sister win a championship under the brightest lights, Sada, going into her sixth season as a pro, could be offered an opportunity to play in a long championship run instead of watching from courtside seats. But will New York have the money and the role to offer Sada? As of publication, New York has $698,293 in available cap space, excluding the contract that Stewart would sign out of her core QO, which can be negotiated down from the Supermax. When it comes to potential roles, would Sada be willing to play at the small forward position rather than the power forward? Would she be willing to buy into the Liberty's canon that winning is done by collective sacrifice? That all remains to be seen.